I know. Hi, is anyone there? 8 people. I can't see any chat. So hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully you're there. Hello, is anyone there? There we go. Oh, good. Excellent. I just, we've had a very, hello Fiona and David, how are you going? Whew. It's been a very exciting, busy afternoon. It's Richard's birthday. We've been rushing around and I came in here, I've gone, right, excellent, let's go. And I pressed finish instead of start. But I think I saved it. So I've got you. Hello, Paul and Roz. How are you? Oh, I'm really looking forward to 4 days holiday. It's going to be great. Yes, Richard, David, and I'm sure everyone says happy birthday, so that's nice. Hello, Dan. Welcome. Lovely to find you here live. Hello, Kevin and Emily. Lovely to have you on. I'm just looking. I also had to make my own snacks today. It's really like things have come to a pretty pass. But Richard and Jill went out for lunch, and Peter's been busy, so I made myself the mushroom lasagna. It is delicious. It doesn't look as delicious as it usually does. So I'm not going to show it to you at the moment. I might show it to you later. But it's great to be here. I hope that you haven't started eating your Easter chocolate yet. It feels very weird that it's Easter all of a sudden. And for the first time in many, many years, I think it's like the second time in about 15 years that we have not been making wine on the Easter weekend. So everyone here has got the weekend off, 4 days off, except for Richard. I think Richard is actually keeping an eye on everything. I'll have to check and see if he needs me to come in and help. Hello, Rob and Deb. Lovely to see you. It was great to see you earlier, Deb, with the kids. Peter and Karen, hello. Yeah, so exciting times. Am I exaggerating, Richard? How long has it been since we've had Easter off for vintage? It's a very early Easter, and it's also unusual for us not to be making wine at Easter anyway. So it's doubly unusual. It is lovely to have you back, Peter and Karen. Andrew and Shell, you're being weird again, are you? Keto for, oh God. Okay, cool. Keto focaccia, vegan pepperoni, and Will Stud, the creamiest cheese in the world. That Will Stud cheese is amazing. Is it the Delista Bourgogne Will Stud cheese, the one that comes in the bark container and that you can eat with a spoon with the white rind? If it's that, I am absolutely with you. I've got one of those for Easter that I may or may not share with people who come over. That's the one. Yep. All right. Okay. Well, Devil Bean Creek Pinot Noir is what we're drinking tonight. Now, this is Devil Bean Creek is a funny wine because it's supposed to be our entry-level wine, but over the last few years, we've had huge successes with selling it out in the world, and we've had smaller crops than we would usually like to see, particularly coming from the vineyard that gives us most of the fruit for Devil Bean Creek. Polly, shush. She's got Richard. Tallulah's stolen Polly's ball. So, Richard, Tallulah's stolen Polly's ball. That's what she's barking about. Tallulah has stolen Polly's ball, and that's what Polly's barking about. Sorry, everyone. Thank you. Oh, got cashew nuts for her as well. Well done. Excellent. Sue and Jeff are here. Hello. Andrew and Alison, the duck lasagna. Well done, Alison. I would have loved to make the duck lasagna, but I only just had time to make the mushroom lasagna. Hi, Polly. I will look after that. Dan, you've got some of the Will Stud for tomorrow to match with some 2005 Chardonnay. Yes, absolutely. Awesome. Richard, can you please grandparent? Exactly. Shell's asking you to make sure that you look after your granddog properly on your birthday. Thank you. I think he's got her sorted out now. She's brought me this. There you go, Paul. All right. Cashew nuts. Exactly. All right. Who haven't I said hello to? I think I've said hello to everyone. If I haven't said hello to you, write me another message. Michael, lovely to see you. More on Qantas at home. Absolutely. Come on, let's get some wine in the glass, hey? This Devil Bean Creek Pinot Noir. So Jeff and Sue made the mushroom lasagna. Excellent. Michael, it's good to see you back. We'd be very interested to know where you've been. Coddy's off-piece with Sutton Bocker. Yum, yum, yum. Mushroom lasagna, very easy to make. Jeff and Sue, I did say hello to you. I said hello to you before. I'm saying hello to you again now. Hello. All right. Devil Bean Creek Pinot Noir. Lisbon and East Coast mainly. How lovely. So this is 2023. I'm going to hand it over to Richard because he's looking thirsty. Despite he went to Paringa for lunch for his birthday, which sounded very nice, but he's only had Chardonnay and champagne so far. So he needs some Pinot Noir is that right, Richard?
Absolutely.
Chardonnay and champagne. So he needs some Pinot Noir to balance things out.
Happy birthday. Happy
birthday. Everyone says happy birthday. Yeah. Do you want to come here and let people say happy birthday to you? Happy birthday, Richard. Woo!
Happy birthday, everybody.
Happy birthday. All right, let's get on with this. The Pinot is very rich in colour. Absolutely, Fiona. And you've gone with lamb cutlets. Perfect. I think, lasagna's a bit fussy. I just kind of had a little feel. Yeah, fresh haircut. Yeah, we gave him a little shave a couple of weeks ago. He's looking very slick. Everyone says happy birthday, Richard. There's lots of happy birthdays coming up on the chat now. It'll give me time to catch up talking about the wine. So Devil Bean Creek Pinot, I will definitely. I'm gonna try and make the duck lasagna. Now the duck lasagna was given to me by someone doing Drinks with Kate during lockdowns, and I will remember who it was, but I don't think it's any of you guys who are on, but I will remember who it was, and I will give credit where credit's due when I remember, but it's an amazing recipe. I've only made it once, but it's absolutely delicious. It's just a little bit fussier than the mushroom lasagna. I just felt in this autumnal weather, it's sunny and warm during the day, it's cool in the evenings, a little bit of pasta is not such a bad thing. This wine is so rich and full-bodied for a Pinot Noir. It's a 23, so it was just bottled in December, and I'm getting the nod from the birthday boy. Bottled in December, we just released it to our distributors. They've all basically taken everything they can get, so it's basically sold out again, which is ridiculous. We're going to be tasting the Chardonnay in a few weeks' time, and that also has come and gone. We kind of, released it. I had to allocate it to our distributors. So you'll probably see the wines out in the world, but unfortunately we won't have any to sell at Cellador. We might have a little bit of the Pinot. I'm not quite sure if we managed to hold on to a tiny bit, but it's basically all gone. So I thought it was very important, though, for us to at least have a bottle together during Drinks with Kate. So that's what we're doing now. I also think that, sadly, most of this wine will get drunk way too young. Polly's now attacking the small dog over cashew nuts over in the other part of the room, which I'm going to try and ignore. Alison used a roast Chinese duck. That's perfect. I think, these little shortcuts, it's always good to work out how to do these things well. I love the colour of this wine. It's got so much depth of colour, and when you stick your nose in it, it's really, really young, but it's got this incredible voluptuousness. It's black cherries. It's almost a cherry liqueur kind of aromatic, but it reminds me of sort of almost grappa-soaked black cherries from Italy. There's a real kind of voluptuous kind of lusciousness to this wine on the nose, and when you pop it in your mouth. Oh, Karen's there. Hello, Karen, and Craig with some extra friends tonight. Excellent. Cheers. I nearly missed you. I just saw you pop in there before people started saying happy birthday to Richard. So good to see you. It was lovely to see you actually in Sydney last week. That was lots of fun. We've now found another wine for one of the next Drinks with Kate boxes. So watch this space. It'll particularly impress the Hungarians. So I had to put a little bit of that in my mouth because it smelled so yummy. Good legs, ABV. What's the alcohol on it, Dad? This wine, I think it's about 13 and a half. 13 and a half. It was quite ripe. It says 14 on the label, so there you go. We've kind of gone up. It's probably somewhere between 13 and a half and 14, to be honest. I think it's really silky, and it's also quite velvety. Really ripe cherry, lots of concentration and voluptuousness on the nose. And if you are someone who likes, I was wondering if I'm not sure if Anne Bosch is on today. I have to remember to ask you guys if you're happy to get together on Anzac Day as well. So have a think about that, and I'll try and remember to come back to it because that's I think the Thursday that I've said that we're coming back after I've been away for 2 weeks. So the Hungarian, it was delicious. Actually, I've got something else from the same producer, which I think might be even more exciting. So I'll see what I can get. I've got to talk to the importer and see if he's got some stock of it. But we will definitely have a play with one of his wines. So, Michael, it's not the Hungarian wine that we'll be tasting is not Pinot Noir. So it was just a little side for something to move on to later on in the year, maybe when it's a little bit warmer. This wine will age beautifully. Thank you, Paul and Ross, for bringing us back to this wine. This wine will absolutely age beautifully. And if you do manage to find some in a local bottle shop, it's definitely worth popping in the cellar. It's got all that concentration that we expect from a year like 2023, where we had quite small crops, and then we had so 23 wasn't ridiculously hot. It was just a really even ripening year. So we had, again, slightly difficult weather during flowering and fruit set, which meant that we got a smaller crop than we would ideally have liked to see. But then it was the sort of the evenness of temperature and the relative coolness meant that we got sort of slow, even ripening, lots of intensity of fruit and flavour, and the intensity of colour also comes from the fact that the berries were really small, lots of skin to juice ratio. And yes, I think, Fiona, that's a very good point. The 2023 single vineyard Pinots we're super excited about, and we won't be looking at them until they're ready in a few years time. But yes, they will be something definitely worth waiting for. Oh, David's already found somewhere to buy the wine. Good on you, David. Grab it while you can. So as it's opening up, the sort of that liqueur cherry kind of characters kind of softening out into just really lovely ripe black cherries, a little bit of red cherry. There's a little earthiness there. There's a little bit of, this wine doesn't see any new oak, but it's got a little kind of spicy kind of character that is a little reminiscent of that new oak kind of cedariness. I think that just comes from those very tiny berries with the thick skins, lots of intensity. David, we cannot control what price people sell our wines at. Nobody gets it discounted. Everyone gets it sold to them at the same time. So I would say absolutely, if you can grab a dozen for $311, then I'd be going crazy, because I'd rather you guys had it than someone else that I don't know. Shell, it's bringing out the salt in your Pecorino, sea salt-like qualities. Excellent. Okay, it does have a hint of blackcurrant on the palate as well, doesn't it, Alison? It's really kind of, the berry fruit is all black, the cherry fruit's all black on the palate. The tannins are firm but really silky. It's got nice acidity. It's quite round, isn't it? I'm going to have a taste of it with my, actually, look, I will be brave and I'll show you my It's so embarrassing. After Peter brings me these beautifully plated up things, I went to plate my lasagna up, and it turns out that I left a little bit too much liquid in the mushrooms and in the tomato sauce. So it's quite wet, and so it didn't really hold together very nicely. But look, it's nice and rustic, and you can see the mushrooms and you can see the tomato and the pasta. I think it'll be delicious. In fact, I know it'll be delicious because I've already tasted it, but I think it'll be delicious with this wine. So I'm going to have a little taste of it with the wine. Oh no, Keely. I hope you're feeling better soon. Hello, Nareem. Lovely to see you. And that lovely umami savouriness of the mushrooms, I love with a Pinot like this, because the Pinot is so big and rich and luscious that you kind of think, how are the mushrooms going to cope with it? But the mushrooms, and I feel like I seasoned my lasagna perfectly. It's got quite a bit of salt and pepper in it. And that brings out the umami in the mushrooms and in the tomato, and the creaminess of the ricotta and the other cheese on top, and the creaminess also of the sour cream in the mushrooms, makes it a really lovely kind of umami bomb of salt and cheesiness and those lovely rich savory vegetable flavors. Works really, really well with this wine, because it just kind of counterposes the richness and rich fruitedness of it, and brings out the savouriness in the wine. Fiona, you put Worcester sauce on the lamb cutlets? Absolutely. Excellent umami bomb. So I think that's right, Michael and Shell, that it brings out the salt in the food, but there's also a salty, slightly flinty minerality in this wine, which I think actually is really important, a really important aspect to the Devil Bean Creek Pinot Noir, because we don't rely on, good on you, David. Love your work. That savouriness and the minerality, the salty minerality, and the sort of flinty, stony minerality that's in the finish of the wine, just kind of also softens out that sweet fruitedness and gives it a little bit more structure and gives it a little bit more interest. One of the things that's really tricky about Pinot Noir is that sometimes you get lots and lots of sweet fruit, but you don't get the structure. And sometimes you get all the structure and you don't get enough sweet fruit. And I think that's one of the lovely things about this wine, that it's got the balance of both. It's got big, rich, sweet fruit. It would be good with salted crisps. Just plain crisps with lots of salt on them would be delicious with this as well. And if you're just having it with cheese and crackers, I think that could work brilliantly with this too. I haven't seen any comments from Anne yet, but Anne often likes to have Peking duck with her young Pinot Noir, and I think this would be really great with those. Alison, you said you used a Chinese duck in the duck lasagna, and that's really smart. And those slightly Chinese flavors, the Chinese glaze on the Chinese duck, and the flavors in a Peking duck pancake bundle work really, really well with this as well, because you've got the salt and the sweet and all those sort of things. I'm so glad, Jeff and Sue, that you're finding the mushroom lasagna. It's a super simple recipe, and you can zhuzh it up with other things. You can put porcini powder in it if you want to make it a bit fancier. You can put Polly, you're being very naughty. It would be nice to Richard on his birthday. You can put some silver beet or wilted spinach or something in there if you want to. You can put fancy mushrooms in there if you want to. I just used button mushrooms from the veggie shop, but you can put whatever you want into that lasagna to fancy it up. But actually, just the recipe as is pretty delicious with the right amount of. You can put some garlic in there, cook that off with the mushrooms. could be rather delicious. Yeah, Fiona, I'm definitely also getting some star anise flavours in this wine. And when we talk about, so it's really interesting that sometimes I used to think that, and in fact, this wine fits into this kind of little kind of rule that I made up for myself a few years ago, that in a cooler year, even if the wine's really ripe and concentrated like this wine, you get more of those sort of Chinese spices, star anise, a bit of five spice, a little bit of soy in there. And we've got that richness of fruit kind of behind all of that, which makes it really a lovely blend of savoury and rich fruit. In a warmer year, we get more Moroccan spices. We get more cumin and coriander and that sort of more of that cinnamon lift to the wine, which I also like, and a little bit of kind of pomegranate kind of character. Really a good way to differentiate between the warmer and the cooler years, and hopefully in both of those examples, we pick the fruit at the right time and it's balanced, and so we've got the right amount of acid and tannin to balance the fruit and the alcohol. So yeah, Rob and Deb have got some too. Excellent work. It's really sad when I've got to send these guys off to buy wine from other places, but I love it. I actually really love it when retailers put our wine out for silly prices. You should absolutely buy them out, because there's no reason for them to discount the wine, but if they want to and make less money out of it, that's an advantage to you guys, and particularly if you guys buy it, the wine goes into good cellars, which makes me very happy. So I always one of the things the Celador folk, is Leonie out there? Hello, Leonie. One of the things that we talk about quite a lot is, what do we do if someone's discounting our wine out there in retail world? I just say, tell people to buy it from them, because everything's limited. Everything's in finite supply. So if you can buy it for cheaper, then go for it. They usually don't have very much, so go for it. High loans, and then come back and buy some from us later when it's all sold out everywhere else. Oh, thank you, Michael. That's lovely. It's always great to be able to kind of just carry on to you guys on a Thursday night. I feel like I feel very, very privileged that you still want to keep coming back and taste wine and eat food with me on a Thursday night, which is absolutely awesome. Oh, interesting. Okay, Kevin, I will definitely answer that question. Because so often I don't get a chance to talk in detail about why the wine looks like it is and how it looks and how delicious it is. It's really nice to just to chat away. Polly, you are being an absolute bitch tonight. Right. Polly's now not eating her dinner and barking at the other dog. Ridiculous. It is nice to have a fuller bodied Pinot without those heavy tannins. So it's really interesting that, and Kevin, I'm coming back to your question. It's a really good question. It's a really good question, and I will be there in just a moment. But I think it's really interesting to see how different people are dealing with Pinot Noir these days, and I think a lot of people will be afraid of the tannins and pick the fruit a little bit earlier to get more red fruit characters and not work the skins through the tannin as much as we do, and make sort of softer, lighter, less ripe wines. This wine, I feel, is a really lovely example of what you can do if you're growing your fruit in the right place and you get the right balance in the fruit when you bring it in, to not be afraid of working the skins in the wine while it's fermenting to extract colour and tannin and flavour from the skins, because I think that the skins give Pinot Noir a lot of flavour, intensity and savouriness and complexity that you miss out on if you can't work the skins with the wine. So it's pretty special. A Goldilocks wine, absolutely, Fiona. It's just right. So Kevin was asking about, so Joan's now trying to buy some too. Good on you, Joan. Get into it. John is trying to buy some. Sorry, John and Cotty. I'm getting all mixed up with who I'm talking to. Anyone had an absolutely gorge young, asks David. I haven't had one for a while. The last one I had was pretty good, but I haven't had one for a while. So Kevin has asked me about 2024. That's what we're up to, 2024, aren't we? Is that the year that we're doing at the moment? Yes, excellent. I really need those 4 Easter days just to sit in my little cave and not think anything. 2024 has been a challenging year for a lot of people, and I think it's one of the things. It's one of those years where we're really lucky to be where we are here at Moorooduc in the northern part of the Mornington Peninsula. I think we had beautiful weather during flowering and fruit set, so we were very excited back then about the fact that we were actually setting a reasonable sized crop, and that Jill and Richard, you're very welcome to have some lasagna with your Pinot if you'd like to help yourselves. I know you have been out to lunch, but you might just want a little mouthful to see how it works. Oh, Paul and Roz have got a case too. Excellent. They're all buying wine from a retailer who's discounting it at the moment. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But it'll all be sold out very soon. Don't worry about it. So 2024, we started out really well. It was beautiful weather during flowering and fruit set. The vines were really happy. We even said, I will quote Jeremy, who I don't think is on the call tonight because he looks absolutely exhausted and has had children to take home to start their Easter holidays. He's got lots of, hello, Daisy and Ivy. Daisy and Ivy are saying hello, Polly. She's eating her dinner now. She's calmed down a little bit now that she's getting some food in her. She gets a little bit hangry sometimes. So if we can get some food in her, she's much better behaved. Just a spoiled brat. Did you hear what Jill said? Jill said she's just a spoiled brat, which she is. And she's gone for a walk. Okay, that's enough talk about Polly. We're not interested anymore, Polly. We need to talk about wine. $26 a bottle for this is absolutely ridiculous, David. We would be selling it at $35. If I can't remember how much we would be selling it for because we haven't had any to sell for such a long time, but go for it. It's I think that is an amazing price for that wine, and you should go for it. Master of Wine and Polly. I know, Michael, it's ridiculous. No, I forgot. 2024 vintage. So then after this beautiful weather during flowering and fruit set, and I will quote Jeremy, he said, and this was the kiss of death. He said, now that we've had good flowering and fruit set, I don't care what the weather does from now on. And about a week later, we had a huge thunderstorm with hail, and we had some hail damage in the vineyard, which was a little bit sad. But it turned out not to be too much of a problem. Good on you, Dan. Karen's got some. I hope it doesn't run out. Exactly. If they ring up and ask for more, then it's all gone. So the hail damage wasn't too bad, and a fire, absolutely. So Rob and Deb had a fire closer to their place. So that was the difficulty at the end of the season, Kevin. That it got hot, and we had lots of fire kind of danger around the area in that last month before vintage. There was a fire over just down the road and a few other bushfires around. They managed to get them all under control, but that hot weather at the end of at the end of the growing season just kind of, for us, just accelerated everything. We had a bit of shrivel in the Shiraz, and sadly the Nebbiolo got a bit sunburnt by that hot weather. So we had to pick the Nebbiolo possibly slightly earlier than we were ideally wanting to, but Dad's just pressed that off today, and I might get him to come and give a little report on the Nebbiolo in a second if he wants to. He's looking at me as though he doesn't want to. But anyway, we've made some Nebbiolo. It's pretty structured. It would have been nice possibly for it to stay on the vine for a little bit longer to get a little bit more flavour development. But the heat spikes that we had in February and early March really kind of mucked a lot of people up. Yeah, I know, Fiona, it's crazy. All the Mediterranean veg are loving it. Oh, good, Robin Deb, that's excellent. David Inchley's happy to sacrifice the Shiraz. Yes, Jill would absolutely agree. Shrivel in the Shiraz is a great name for a label. Absolutely. Craig's just found out it's a scam site. We've ordered Devil's Bender Click. That's bad luck, Craig. You're very funny. So a lot of people further south from us were behind us in the ripening process. We started picking and we didn't stop, and our vintage was very, very fast. It was quite stressful for a little while there. Everything came in. It was amazing. Exactly, Karen. So the hot weather was pretty horrible to work in, but we got most of the fruit in looking beautiful. It was a bit warm, but we have a nice cool room that we can put it in for 24 hours. That cooled it down, kept everything going. We managed to keep the fermentation room at a reasonable temperature. So even during those 4 really hot days, it didn't get too out of control. There were a couple of wines that had to go back in the fridge to cool them down a bit, but everything was manageable. So for us, I think the hot weather came a little bit earlier, well, a bit later than we would have liked it. It would have been good to have the hot weather in January and early February. Good on you, Shell. Shell and Andrew have got a dozen as well. This is the most amazing Devil Bean Creek Pinot Noir sale that this retailer's ever had. They'll be like, what is going on? It's very good. So I think a lot of people in the south, in Red Hill and the southern part of the Mornington Peninsula, and also in Macedon, places that were a bit behind us would have really suffered from that really hot weather. And it's been so dry. We had a little bit of rain the other day, and Dad said that's like 3 millimeters in the last 4 weeks, 27 days, 47 days. 3 millimeters of rain in 47 days. So if you're trying to grow your vines without any irrigation, it's really, really tricky. So yeah, it's been really dry, and our vineyard has handled it very well. It's still got some green leaves on it. It's starting to dry off now and starting to go golden, and we'll lose all of the leaves over the next few weeks, and then it'll be time to start pruning again. But yeah, it's up. Oh, Paul and Ross, I know. So this is the ridiculous thing about Australia. It's such a big country, and we're having extreme weather at both ends. But up north, you guys I believe you've got the sort of the tail end of Cyclone Megan possibly having a bit of an effect still. Funnily enough, hi Megan, if you're there, we have a Megan working for us in vintage at the moment, and we're very pleased that she's had a cyclone named after her while she's been here. But we shouldn't joke about these things because it sounds like far north Queensland's having a really tough time. And most of Queensland's having a pretty tough time with the rain. So we don't really want any tropical weather down here, but just a little bit of rain would be nice. Yeah, it's been really dry. David was saying watered the garden more times than in the last few years. Yeah, so they talked about the La Nina systems that we had for sort of the last 4 or 5 years, changing over to an El Nino system, which is hotter, drier, all of those things. And then we had the beginning of vintage that was quite cool, and we had quite a bit of precipitation, and we were all complaining that we weren't getting our El Nino, and he's come on with a vengeance now. So El Nino's here. It's super dry. but all the grapes are off the vines now, so we're super happy about that. Who's Bass? I don't know you. Hello, lovely to see you. new people on. We have 3 mils of rain in the last 9 weeks. That's right, Cody. It's been outrageously dry, which is good for plants that don't need water or that have their own access to water. Not so good. Mornington Local, excellent. Welcome to Drinks with Kate. Thank you for commenting. It's nice to have you here. Rob, our weather guru, is telling us that we've got 80% odds of reverting to a La Nina next spring. Oh well. That's a bombshell. Richard just said whoa over in the corner. That would actually be really good for us, Rob, because we're planting new vines in spring and they'll need a good watering in. So that would be fantastic. Paul and Ross dog. Oh, I can imagine dog walking in the rain. Yes, we don't have that problem at the moment. Polly keeps jumping in the. Rob does know his weather. Absolutely, Shell. Kevin, your Highland cattle are struggling to find grass right now. I wonder if we could have some Highland cattle down by the dam, Dad, just to eat the grass. We don't. It won't work, Kevin. We don't have any. We don't have any fences, but we keep talking about getting some animals in here to eat the grass down around the dam and things. I think we probably need goats because I think cattle would probably turn their noses up at what's around the dam at the moment. Goats would get in there and eat everything, and it'd be lovely and clear by then. What type of new vines, Alison wants to know? Well, mostly Pinot Noir, Alison. We're replanting, finally. Yes, your dog is a Highland cow. Excellent. Goats would eat everything, Fiona. We have to keep them out of the vineyard, but they'd be really good for clearing the back spaces behind the dam and around the trees, because we've got quite a lot of everything, including some blackberries and stuff. Goats will only eat the vines, Cody, if we don't have fences around the vines. So that's the first thing we have to do before we get any animals in, is get some. Fiona, your dog's a woolly sheep and likes to graze as well. Excellent. The goats could carry wine to the car. Absolutely, David. I think you're onto something right there. We need some goats actually, maybe we could get a couple of donkeys. That'd be pretty nice. Donkeys to carry wine to the car, and then they could just eat the undergrowth in the meantime. I think that would be good. We'll work on that plan. Maybe Kate's making us settle down, Craig. We're not planting any Sauvignon Blanc. It's Ben Craig. You are very naughty today, Craig. Anything we get, we also need alpacas for Shell to come and pat, Dad. So we need an alpaca for Shell. It's going to be quite the petting zoo here at Moorooduc. And Rob, it's all right, Dan. We're not going there. We're moving away. We're walking. We're stepping back very warily from Savvy Bee. We planted Sauvignon Blanc here in the 80s and pulled it out a few years later. It doesn't work. We're not interested. Don't worry. So just to get everyone back before people start jumping off the feed, Pinot Noir is being planted mostly out in the paddock, which used to be the Cabernet, and then had Pinot Gris. No, people are saying all sorts of ridiculous things. I'm getting that with donkeys, alpacas. The cows are coming over to eat the grass in the next couple of days. That's all right, isn't it, Dad? Can we tether them, Kevin? Exactly, Karen. Keep them under control, honestly. So Pinot Noir. We're going to be also planting a couple of rows of trial vines. At the moment, all the varieties that we're interested in are red, and we're talking about maybe a little bit of Blanc Frankish, maybe a little bit of Menthea, maybe a little bit of Grenache. So nothing too silly. We've already got our silly Nebbiolo down the bottom of the property. which maybe Richard's coming over to tell you about, or have you come over to talk about? Richard's wandered over to talk about something. So come on, we need some powerful owls as well, apparently here.
Some what?
Some powerful owls.
Owls.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Owls. Well, that's a great idea. What do they do and don't do? That's what we want to know.
Powerful owls, they're powerful and they fly around and scare all the other birds. Yeah.
All of them.
Tell people about the Nebbiolo, Dad.
Well, the Nebbiolo we have is from a very, very small number of vines, and that's very experimental, apart from the new planting, but that won't produce fruit for another couple of years. And we are doing tiny ferments from a little bit of fruit that's coming off these, well, about sort of 6 vines probably this year are productive. So, you know, it's interesting, but
not conclusive yet.
That's right. Anyway, we pressed them that today in about 6 litres of wine. So,
it's a lot more than we've got thus far.
We'll see how it turns out.
Did the numbers look good, Dad?
Numbers look fine.
Good.
Yeah. Good. We would have liked it a little bit riper, as you implied, but it's ripe enough. The potential alcohol is about 13%, so it's not too bad. But with the new planting, there'll be 33 rows, and 31 of them will be 3 clones of Pinot that we think are our favourites for the moment. And as Kate said, we're really keen to do some experimental planting because, you know, what happens here over the next 50 years is of great interest to me and everyone else, particularly younger people.
Yes, indeed.
But anyway, it'll be interesting. I think we can do some very good trials of relatively small plantings of interesting possible varieties that might help when the climate gets too warm for Pinot Noir. Heaven forbid.
Heaven forbid, indeed.
That was what I wanted to say.
Keely, who is locked away with COVID in the other room, has just wished you happy birthday as well.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if Keely's allowed to have Pinot Noir while she's locked away with COVID, but it's lovely to hear from you anyway, Keely.
It can only be good.
It can only be good. That's according to the doctor. Yeah, I know, David. We're hoping that it's not going to be any time in our lifetime, but you know, you are good, excellent, Keely. Lovely to hear. You've got to have some treats at least. Biggest fear, losing sense of smell. Absolutely. No, Dan, we're not going to put any Zinamavro in, although it is a very interesting grape variety. Maybe that'll happen with the next replanting in 50 years' time. Who knows? We'll have to go on a research trip to Greece to have a look at Zinamavro and see how it's all going. I think Mencia kind of charmed us when we went to Spain, and Bluff Frankish charmed us when we went to Austria. So you never know what might happen down the track. Don't forget your dog, Pete. Don't forget your dog. Pete's leaving, and he was good. So we're still saving for Italy. Absolutely, Shell. Me too. There'll be more news on that very soon. See you, Tallulah. Tallulah and Peter are going home. 2074. Absolutely, Nareem. Yes, Shell. I shall do some work. I promise. I think we probably got to the end of this. Have you finished drinking all of your Devil Bent Creek Pinot Noir yet? Luckily, it sounds like all of you have a case of it coming to you from the website that you found. So hopefully they can fulfill all those orders. And merch update. Shell, after Easter, I will give you a merch update. 2074. Oh, God, Craig, I can't even. You bought it out. That's awesome, Alison. That's very good work. I think they bought it all. Alison's just said it's sold out. It's finished. Well done. What was the name of the website again? Who was it? It's $35 a bottle tomorrow for sure. Excellent work, team. Well, next week we are getting together to drink some Robinson Pinot Noir, I believe. Is that right? I really should look these things up before I come on air. It was just another one of those days, years, weeks, whatever. Wine Cellars Direct, Jill. Wine Cellars with an S. Cellars with an S. So next week, I think we're doing the Robinson Pinot, because the reason I'm a bit confused is because I moved it around because I'm going away, and I didn't want to split up the two Chardonnays. So, never heard of them. It was Wine Cellars Direct. Yeah, excellent. You got yours from Temu. Everyone's got them from all different places, Jill. You just have to Google Devil Bend Creek Pinot Noir and buy it wherever you can find it. It's crazy talk. Rough Play Pinot next week. Yes. So next week we're doing Rough Play Pinot 2021. It is Rough Play. Thanks, Loans. The 2021, we had a bottle of it the other day. It was Craig's very naughty. Rough Play Pinot next week. I know we've tasted it together. It's Fiona. I think Craig is teasing me again. Rough Play Pinot, we tasted it last year. It's looking delicious. We had a bottle the other day and I went, we have to have that again. We've just de-stemmed. So anyone who's following us on social media, you will have seen my little reel of our final de-stemming for 2024. That was the Rough Play Pinot for 2024 that went through. It's looking really interesting again. So it's a wine that we're going to keep making. We think we might give it a new name because we think that maybe the name's a little bit silly. So we're working on that. But in the meantime, the 2021 Rough Play Pinot is next week. I will think of something delicious for us to eat with it. I'm going to go and eat my mushroom lasagna with another glass of this Pinot Noir. Fun fact from Rob and Deb, 2050 climate analogue towns for Melbourne for midpoint image projections are Wangaratta, Bairnsdale, Bathurst, Benalla, Albury Wodonga, Bendigo, Young. What does that mean, Rob? Does that mean that Melbourne's going to be more like those, like they are there? So yeah, hot, hotter. It'll be hot like the Albury Wodonga. They've been having really hot summers. It's really depressing. Thanks, Rob. Thanks very much. I'd rather talk about Rough Play Pinot, which is a bit Fiona. I agree. In the meantime, I'm going to go and drown my sorrows in a little bit more Devil Bend Creek Pinot Noir, eat some mushroom lasagna, watch the sunset, and keep my fingers crossed that we can sort out the world before we screw it up completely. Anyway, thanks everyone. Cheers. I'll see you next week.